Keys and Kingdoms is one of the settings we're creating for the Aegis game system. We have no structure currently in place for the actual system, but the setting aims to combine your classic D&D style high fantasy with the vibes of a Disney-esque animated fairy tale musical, though generally with adult theming. Unless you run a campaign that's appropriate for children, you can do that, we're not doing that. This series of videos, using the only medium in which I can properly express myself, Microsoft PowerPoint, will show off the 10 Keys and Kingdoms core rules, people, and the manner in which we're interpreting them in our 5th edition homebrew campaign. Using the original 5e rules from 10 years ago, not the new ones, we don't have time to learn to master subtle differences to the system. It's going to be all about the imagination and telling a story in this world we're building. In the original list of core species, I included something I called a heart construct. Something to represent characters as diverse as Pinocchio, Tron, Olaf, and Baymax. Artificial constructs granted sapience and a semblance of life by the love and passion of their creator. As the system developed and I knew I wanted a more simulationist angle, I knew this would no longer work. These 4 guys would all be vastly different types of construct, though all still of playable varieties to be introduced in some expansions later, and the Pinocchio-inspired type I would still call a heart construct. The thing that replaced the heart construct is something I can hardly believe I ever neglected to include, for they're a much beloved aspect of the setting now. Those little clothed and civilized rodents you see living on the fringes of human civilizations, a staple of beloved cartoons and storybooks the world over, including some of the best of non-Disney animation. I call them Myshkas. No, not Mickey, he operates at a human scale. He's clearly a native, see the previous video. No, not the rats from Ratatouille, they're clearly just rats, not Myshkas. Tiny and civilized. Get it? Good. Here are the sample Myshkas I commissioned. Myshkas are more fully rodentine in anatomy than rodent-faced natives are. While most have a generic rat or mouse look, they can resemble any rodent of Myshka size or smaller. A squirrel, chipmunk, hamster, gerbil, chinchilla, guinea pig. I haven't done a ton of research on rodents yet, but there are definitely many options. Just make sure it really is a rodent. There are no rabbit, hedgehog, mole, or shrew Myshkas, because those aren't actually rodents. They tend to be short and stubby, there's very little stylistic difference between men and women, and there are some design rules in place for how to design and color their eyes, noses, ears, hands and feet, and tails. Maria never completely nailed the design rules, we'll get there, close enough for now. Obviously, there's no precedent for this type of creature in D&D, so we'll skip that part and go right ahead into the stats. Size is tiny. They're about 1 foot tall, so in our system they'd be diminutive, another diminutive adventurer type. Significantly bigger than the mouse people in the cartoons are, so they're slightly more believable as adventurers, can participate in the greater world more. Their speed is fairly slow due to their size, but they have a climb speed just as fast as their walking speed. That's handy. Let's keep that -6 to strength, that's the tentative rule for diminutive characters in this 5e conversion, and their bonus, +2 to wisdom, representing their keen rodent senses. So okay, remember how I gave pixies a shitload of powers to compensate for the presumed penalties of their tiny size, which aren't really a thing in this 5e conversion? Not doing that for Myshkas. Myshkas are rare as adventurers, so if you choose one, it basically represents adventuring on challenge mode, so they do not have very many powers to compensate for their tiny size. Again, in 5e that's not going to be that big a deal, but yeah. So here's what racial features Myshkas will have. Dark vision, which we've very much been nerfing in this conversion. In Aegis it'll just be low light vision. The keen smell trait. Myshkas have good senses in general, but especially smell. Bite. Their unarmed attacks deal piercing damage instead of bludgeoning. Still just 1 point, because their fist probably doesn't deal 1 point of damage, but their teeth probably do. And finally, beast speech. They can communicate on a base level with rodents. Not fluently, but a little bit. All rodents, but only actual rodents. That includes beavers, porcupines, capybaras. If you encounter an animal and you're not sure if it's a rodent or not, Wikipedia that. I probably should have given them a stealth bonus of some sort. That didn't occur to me because I intended it to be inherent to being diminutive. I'm starting to think about the rules. I'll probably do something OGL just with a lot of changes. Still too early to say. Life cycle? Well, I decided they age exactly twice as fast as humans because sometimes I'm lazy. It's fantasy, that makes it plausible. It's not a bizarrely convenient evolutionary coincidence. Some god or something designed it that way. Someone like me. Creature type is humanoid. I'm so excited to show you the further details about the creature type system. It's fantastic. Common is their only default language. I have a system, big language system for Aegis, which is fairly faithful to the D&D one, with some variations. And their typical alignment, culturally, is neutral good. They tend to have a strong moral compass and be generally helpful, even if they're not adventurous. Haha, thanks for joining me. Stay tuned for more vids on the peoples of Keys and Kingdoms.